Richard Wilson's got on his bike and put one foot in the Australian outback.
Not very nice cabbage, Lorraine.
You can see the results from Down Under on holiday. Tuesday at 7 on BBC1.
James Naughty presents his personal review of 1994. That's after the news now on BBC1 with Hugh Edwards.
Good afternoon. The Labour Party has backtracked on suggestions that it might impose VAT on school fees. Earlier, Labour's education spokesman David Blunkett said that he was considering the idea, but a spokesman from party headquarters has just ruled out Mr Blunkett's suggestion.
Ending charitable status for private schools by removing their tax advantages and imposing value-added tax on school fees for pupils educated in the private sector were two options Labour were looking at. Earlier this morning, Labour's education spokesman confirmed this possibility.
I'm ruling nothing out at this stage because we want to look at the two issues of charitable status and VAT on private school fees together so that we can see what would be fairest, what would tackle the issue of privilege.
Labour seem to have been taken aback by the ferocity of the criticism their plans attracted from private schools and the Conservatives.
What we have here is the old Labour Party, the party of class envy, the party that wants to tax choice, and the party that wants to hammer the middle classes.
Within the last few minutes, officials at Labour Party headquarters have said that value-added tax will definitely not be imposed on private school fees. But the party was looking seriously at withdrawing the charitable status of independent schools. Nicholas Jones, BBC News.
And it's emerged that Labour is planning to drop its opposition to nuclear power, less than 3 months after approving an anti-nuclear environment policy. In an interview on BBC Radio, the party's energy spokesman, Martin O'Neill, said the change is caused by the new conditions in the energy market. The shift in Labour's policy has been condemned by Friends of the Earth. 2 people have died in a fire at a ski resort hotel in the Highlands of Scotland. New Year holidaymakers were trapped on the upper floors of the Four Seasons Hotel in Aviemore when fire swept through the ground floor. Police have named one of the victims as Patricia Shaw, a 55-year-old from Leeds. Russian forces have again been attacking the Chechen capital Grozny, and aircraft have bombed targets in the city. But Chechen fighters have been putting up a fierce resistance, and the Russians have failed to bring the whole of Grozny under their control.
Throughout the night, the Chechens put up ferocious resistance to the Russian assault. Their information minister has told me they've captured or destroyed several Russian tanks and taken 20 prisoners of war. Today, the Chechens still appear to be in control of key parts of the city centre, including the presidential palace. But fierce fighting is raging there as I speak, and there's again extremely heavy Russian shelling of the city. But if President Yeltsin thought Grozny could be captured quickly and decisively, he's already been proved wrong. I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of Chechen troops swarming around their capital this morning, all heavily armed and all determined to defend the city. The two sides are now fighting for each street and each strategic building and installation, and the battle for Grozny is far from over. Ben Brown, BBC News, Grozny.
A 4-month truce between the warring sides in Bosnia came into effect 2 hours ago. Representatives from the Bosnian government forces, the Bosnian Serbs and the United Nations are meeting at Sarajevo airport to discuss how the ceasefire will be implemented. It's been another disappointing day for England's cricketers in the third test against Australia. After recovering from a poor start, they closed the first day in Sydney on 198 for 7.
Another truly exasperating day for England, not just because the dismissal of Gooch for 1 and then shortly afterwards of Hick for 2 put England on their way to an early score of 20 for 3, but also because the good work that followed, from Atherton especially, was to be completely undone. 88 from the England captain ensured his stock as a batsman remains high, and he was joined impressively by John Crawley, who made 72. The two men shared a fourth-wicket partnership of 174, until Atherton's stumps 2 were shattered by McDermott, who finished the day with 4 wickets. And by the time Rhodes and Fraser contrived the shambolic run-out, England had collapsed from 194 for 3 to 197 for 7. Rob Bonnet, BBC News.
And that's all for now. There'll be more from the newsroom at 6:10.
Very good afternoon to you. There may be no country fire, but we will go a week ahead with the weather forecast. And of course it starts very wintry. Very nice start for the new year, I think. It's not going to last that long though. Cold and wintry with a hard frost on Monday night, and then throughout Tuesday and the start of Wednesday we change back to our more usual type of weather. It comes in from the Atlantic and brings wind, rain, but with some sunny spells in between. At the moment it looks a bit like this. There's no real discernible front, but the wind comes right the way down from the polar ice cap, so it's cold. It's brought snow to many places, particularly Scotland, but not exclusively Scotland. There's been some right down in Cornwall. Now, as you'll see, there's an anticyclone to the west. That's pushing in during Monday. Pressure builds, the wind drops, and it'll be the eastern side of the country that's more affected by any remaining showers. And on Tuesday, that keeps moving eastwards, and we start to bring rather milder and probably wet weather. The last few hours, the showers have been directed by the wind and northwesterly more or less, but they've also been moving, if you have a look, bodily southwards. So I don't think anywhere is going to be free from either rain, sleet or snow this afternoon, but the concentration will be more or less where you see it now and drifting slowly southwards. Scotland's already got about 10 centimetres of snow reported east in the Grampians. But there's the concentration of the showers down through the Irish Sea, into the Midlands, possibly down as far as London. Later it'll cloud up as the whole lot moves southwests. And as we move into the evening, it'll be the eastern side that sees the concentration, but always it'll be the northern highlands of Scotland that gets the worst of it. That's because the wind is always going to be a northerly, going to be buffeting that coast. But if we look as the hours go by, the winds die out in the west, and overnight they are down the eastern side, and during tomorrow even there they tend to be rather lighter than they have been just recently. In fact, it's this side of the country that turns rather snowy tonight. As I wouldn't be at all surprised to find snow coming down towards East Anglia. Further west, as the wind drops out, there'll be a few showers, but the main problem will be frost and, of course, some ice on the roads. Now, Monday, if you remember then, the anticyclone's building in the west, so it's generally fine weather, 1 or 2 showers left over, still of snow on the ground in Snowdonia, for example, but possibly inland as well. Very low temperatures, only 3s and 4s. This will be the probably whitest area and also the coldest and the windiest area. On Tuesday, we start off rather frosty on the east, but the sun will be out, glinting on the snow on the ground if you're lucky, but then the wind and the rain starts to push in from the western side, and with that the temperatures will slowly rise. So we start from 3s in the east to probably 6s to 8s by the end of the day in the west. A fairly strong southerly blow by this time. There's Wednesday's picture then. It's a pretty mobile picture. One front's gone through, the next one's on its way, and that's a rather complicated affair. It's bound not to be accurate, but that's the general idea. So Wednesday then basically starts off a little bit wet in the east, and then it's sunshine and showers for most, rather mild in the southwest of England. On Thursday, a very deep low, a windy day. We take the rain out of the way first of all, and the mildish weather, and back to standard December weather of wind and rain in most places. And a similar story for Friday. That's it. Enjoy your week. Cheerio.
This is Baker Street, where Sherlock Holmes put many curiosities under the microscope. But for one special programme, it will be the venue of an altogether different investigation. The case of the missing price tag.
Beer is worth £1,500.
Henry is worth nothing.
But to Elizabeth, they're both priceless.
Tune in to the Antiques Roadshow's Next Generation.
This Christmas on BBC1.
New Year's Day on BBC1. At 7, Romance for Nora.
What ancient magic plant? Mistletoe. Now they use his gravy granules instead.
And at 8...
You must be sure his body is taken home. Would you like an ice cream?
At 9, a strange encounter for Victor.
This is Mr. Meldrew from next door, and his friend Mrs. Warboys.
Evening, all.
And at 9:30, Joanna Lumley, Kate Beckinsale and Stephen Fry head an all-star cast in Stella Gibbons' Cold Comfort Farm. New Year's Day on BBC1.
The last of the Royal Institution Christmas lectures is on BBC 2 in 10 minutes. Dr. Susan Greenfield investigates what makes a person individual. Spock is lost in outer space. Will the crew of the Enterprise find him before it's too late? Star Trek 3 at 2:20. Now on BBC One, Review of the Year looks back at all the main events of 1994, written and presented by James Naughtie.